Okay, for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, we'd like to welcome you all to this year's 2020 Virtual Lead Academy. We hope that many of you have participated in some of the sessions earlier today. I know you're all looking forward to Zach's presentation that he's about to give as well. With us today, again, we have Zach Schaefer. He's our County Extension Agent in Culberson County. His topic today is about change. Don't just survive, thrive. And I think you'll find his message very interesting. He's going to talk more about testimonials and of what his experiences are, and hopefully it'll help you maybe prevent some of the things he went through at your ages, and we'll go from there. So at this time, I'm going to turn things over to Zach. I will post in the chat a check-in sheet. Please click that link. It'll take you to a quick form site. It's just going to ask for your name and email address. This way we have an accurate record of who all participated today. And also that will enter you into a drawing. We have AirPods and JBL speakers and $100 gift cards sponsored by Ag Workers. So be sure and do that before you leave this session today. Okay, Zach, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, so I just want to say congratulations. First off, just congratulations to everybody. I know this semester was like really weird, really strange, and I want to just recognize your efforts for just getting through it. And I also appreciate you for tuning in to Lead Academy 2020. Okay, so a little bit about me. My name is Zach Schaefer. I graduated from Texas A&M with a earned degree in ag leadership. While at Texas A&M, I was able to participate in Horsemen's Association. I was on stock horse team for a semester, and really, I also worked for Soil and Crop Science. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about resources, and with the clubs that I joined, and with working on campus. These are some of the resources that I really used and are really important to me. Also, in my spare time, I like doing stuff with horses. I donate a lot of my free time to horses. And in the north part of the county here, we have Guadalupe Mountain National Park, and I'm just an outside person. That's a little bit about me. So to kick it off, with a little bit of a formality, the title of this presentation, and I say it's a presentation, but really, I want to treat it like a discussion. We're not meeting face to face, but I really want to hear from some of y'all. So it says, don't survive, thrive. That's the title. But I was originally gearing the presentation to a lot of graduating seniors, talking about a lot of the change they're going to be going through next year. But once I saw the roster, I got really excited to see we have people from 6th grade all the way up to 12th grade. So I want to amend it a little bit. Today, my main objective, regardless of grade, is to I want to help you develop some individualized strategies for success. That will help you adapt to change. Okay, so I know that sounds kind of heavy, so let me tell you where I'm coming from. My first couple of years after high school were reasonably difficult because in high school I didn't have a plan. I was just making it work. I had decent grades, I had a lot of friends, I had a lot of hobbies, I had all these things. And you know what? When college came up, guess what I said? Yeah, I'm just gonna make it work. Bad idea, terrible idea. I crashed and burned pretty much in really that first semester, because a lot of what I realized is that I didn't have some of these life skills. I should have been practicing these things in middle school. I should have practiced these things in high school. And it did take me a long time to figure out. But the thing is, what's important to understand is we all have a different way of succeeding. We all fail, we all succeed, but we all do it differently. And the three things I kind of want to talk about today, and I've broken it down into three separate things, is there's no foolproof scheme for success. I want to talk about developing a strong sense of identity before you even go to college. For some of you graduating seniors, for some of the people that are approaching graduation, I want everybody to find that personal strong sense of identity. That's really important as we move forward. We put so much emotion into the things we do, we forget to take care of what are some important things about ourselves. Second, I want to talk about utilizing resources and help us succeed. And third is I want to talk about prioritizing mental health. So I want to hear from some of y'all. I want to hear from some of the seniors all the way down to the youngest folk we have on here. For some of your seniors, how do you feel about that next step? Let me see. I'm going to try to open this chat box a little bit. Are they going to be able to, can they share with their microphone too, or just using the chat box? Let's see. Terrified. Oh, good. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, great. That's kind of what I want to hear. Okay, so terrified. That's one. I kind of want to get it. Whoa, overwhelmed. All right, but Gigam, I like that. Excited. Okay. See, I'm gonna wait a little bit because I want everybody to get a chance to respond. For some of the graduating seniors and feeling confused, Gigam. All right. Yikes. Oh my gosh. I'm almost more excited to hear that you're saying that you're nervous more than excited, because it means that you're a little bit apprehensive. And I think that that's a natural reaction. I think that if you were to be one of those people that say, I'm extremely excited and I'm going into it, guess what? We start to eliminate some of these things we need to start thinking about. So thank you for kind of responding. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of responses. Very stressed, undecided. Oh, you can't hear me anymore? Whoa.
I can still hear you, Zach. Rachel, you might double check your audio on your end.
Oh my gosh, I really love some of these answers. These are really great. I was hoping to get a whole bunch of different responses. Okay, I think terrified, nervous, and tearing my hair out. Goodness. Okay, let's just take a step back. First, let's just kind of take a breath. The first thing I want to talk about is kind of finding and developing a strong sense of identity. But I also want to hear, tell me why, I'm having a lot of responses up in here, but tell me one person why you're nervous. I mean, someone said they're scared about COVID and how it'll affect your college experience. Tell me one reason why you're nervous. You're saying you're nervous, but what are you nervous about? Okay. The rigor of classes. Great. Yeah. Okay. Being on your own. Okay. Wow. I really appreciate some of these things. This is exactly why, what I want to talk about. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is kind of, and I'm going to look at the chat box as we go through. I'm going to try to kind of look at a couple of things. But what's important to understand is that for that first step as we move forward, a lot of these things I'm going to end up talking about, like meeting new people and stuff. But the first thing I want to kind of talk about that's important to understand is the more we can learn about ourselves, the better we become about reaching our goals. We adopt strategies tailor-made to fit who we are. So, for some of you graduating seniors, and this is, I think, where some of y'all are coming from, you're about to step out from under this umbrella. And a lot of that umbrella is essentially the safety and security of that's provided to some of the people that are close to you or people that are responsible for you. But on one half, the other thing I kind of want to talk about is some of the activities that we leave behind. So for some of you graduating seniors that are kind of giving a lot of these responses, I do want to say that there are some things that we're going to have to leave behind. Does that kind of like make people nervous? Is that what some of you are talking about? Some of the sacrifice that we're having to make coming with that next step? Volleyball. Okay, I love this. I'm going to run with this one, Haley. Okay, they're first year of school, and they end up doing so much stuff with sports. They do so much stuff with rodeo, with 4-H. Sports was my big thing. This is something that almost every college freshman struggle with. They do so much with sports. They put so much emotional value into those sports that guess what? We lose some of that identity. And a lot of kids don't talk about it that first year. In fact, one of my friends who played football, and he was a really kind of like a football star from his high school. I ended up talking to him like my senior year of A&M. He was graduating. He said, you know what I had problems with the most? I said, what'd you have problems with? He said, I played football so much in high school that as soon as I went to my first year of college, I kind of essentially crashed and burned because that was so much of my identity. Okay, so I'm trying to like monitor everything right now. I'm just gonna kind of continue with what's the thing called? Okay, I'm gonna try to get through a little bit of this. I'm gonna also address some of these questions after a while. If you do have like a lot of questions, I am gonna have a Q&A at the very end. But as much as I want you to share, I'm going to try to kind of keep an eye on these things, but I also kind of want to get through some of the activities that we have as well. So, yeah, the first year we're talking about sports. Some of the things that we leave behind, yeah, we're sacrificing these good things, right? But guess what we're also getting? We're getting a little bit of independence. You know, for some of us that aren't so close to grad, let me take a step away from the kind of the graduating seniors for a second. These are things I want y'all to start thinking about. Some of the kids that are in 6th, 7th, middle school, high school, start thinking about what makes you good at some of these skills. Not what some of these skills essentially, don't let them tell you who you are. Some of these sports that you start to participate, your 4-H livestock projects, they're really important, but what makes you better at those skills is kind of identifying who you are. And that's how you excel. So the first strategy I kind of want to talk about is like distinguishing your own personal traits from some of the skills you do. And essentially, okay, so I have a small activity here. I'm gonna get this popped up here. If you have a piece of paper in hand, that would be great, but if not, just kind of follow along. Okay. Okay, so I want you to get a piece of paper and kind of essentially make a T, or if you're not gonna, if you don't have a piece of paper, just kind of think about it a little bit. Trying to keep a look on that chat box too. Let me see here. Okay, Jen, I'm kind of having it. Can you tell me when everybody kind of is ready to roll? I kind of have a little bit of activity for here as far as traits versus skills. All right, enter the chat box, say when you're ready to roll with this. Okay. Sorry, let me try to open this up a little bit so I can see what you're saying. Okay, great. Now I can see. Okay, y'all ready? Okay, great. So what I want y'all to do is kind of on your right side I've listed skills. And what I want to do is everybody write down some of the hobbies that you do right now. Some of the, maybe it's sports. Maybe you ride horses. Maybe you play in a band. Maybe you do some of these things. Write some of those skills on the right side, mark skills. And as you're working on that, I'm going to give you maybe a second or two to kind of do that. I'm going to pop up another slide, and I'm going to kind of move forward with this. Okay. Whoa. Okay, yeah, tennis. Yeah, just go ahead and type it in the chat box. I think I'm gonna try to share my screen, but I think a little bit of the technology is kind of getting in the way. Let me try to pop this up one more time. Tennis, NJHS, showing sheep, welding, artwork. Okay, great, yeah. Horses, baking. Horses, photography, writing, gardening. Wow, these are some really diverse responses. I really like to hear this. So, programming, cattle welding. Okay, so you know how we have that on that left side? I still got them now. Wait a second. 4-H, photography, raising birds, public speaking. Baseball, right? Mudding, all right. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of these responses pour in. I'm going to pop up this slide while I'm going to talk to you for a second. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get this kind of worked out where I can see y'all as well as trying to share my screen. Okay, so I said on the other side, write traits down, right? Okay, so what I'm going to cover a little bit is some of your what we call the big 5 personality traits. And the big 5 personality traits are openness, conscientiousness, extrovert, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And a lot of these, the definition of openness, the tendency to appreciate new art, ideas, values, feelings, and behaviors. The tendency the conscientiousness, the tendency to be careful, on time for appointments, to follow rules. To follow rules, to be hardworking, the tendency to be extroversion, the tendency to be talkative, sociable, and to enjoy others, the tendency to have a dominant style, agreeableness, the tendency to agree and go along with others rather than assert one's own opinions or choices, and neuroticism, the tendency to frequently experience negative emotions such as anger, worry, and sadness, as well as being interpersonally sensitive. You're saying, okay, what does this mean? That's a lot of mumbo jumbo. Let me kind of make it a little bit simple. On this next screen, what I did is I listed a lot of traits. So I want you to take a look at some of these words on here. I tried to look, the one on the right, the box on that right side, sociable, forceful, energetic, adventurous, enthusiastic, outgoing. All of these things, I want you to try to identify some of these with yourself. Okay, I'm gonna leave this up for a second. I won't be able to see the chat box until I stop sharing my screen. So I'm gonna wait till I see some responses. But the left side is you have openness, fantasy prone or imaginative, conscientiousness, orderly. Just take a look at a lot of these facets of these traits on here and try to identify them. What are some of these traits that you feel like you can identify with?
And Zach, I can try to watch the chat so you don't have to jump out of the screen.
Okay, great.
We have forgiving, organized, imaginative, artistic, sociable, more imaginative. Someone just says most of them.
Most of them, okay.
Straightforward, active, stubborn, anxious, impulsive, orderly, sociable, passionate, optimistic.
Okay, that's great. I feel like everybody's kind of like finding their way and they're kind of finding some of these. Can one person in particular with the skills that you wrote on maybe even a graduating senior, I think this might help. Someone that wrote skills on that right side, how do you think one of the traits from that left side made you better or makes you better at that skill on that right side? So if you're sociable, maybe you're a team player, maybe that's what makes you better at sports. That's the kind of response I'm looking for.
Someone stated volleyball helped them to be a leader or learn to be a leader.
Learn to be a leader. Okay. Okay, I want to go with that one. So as you're going to this next year, something that you're maybe you will, maybe you won't be playing volleyball as much. Well, helping you do that leadership development through volleyball helps you that next year. Say you join a club and you're an officer. You've already developed early. So instead of like letting go of volleyball or letting go of that, really attribute to being some of those things that never leave us. If you feel like that's what made you, that skill made you better, I think what you kind of want to rework it and say, I have these leadership traits, so I can use these that next year. You can apply them to some of these clubs. I'm gonna stop sharing this screen so I can kind of take a look at some more options here. Whoopsie daisy. Okay. Basketball taught me to be a team player. Volleyball. 4-H helped me to be more outgoing. Okay, so now I'm seeing a lot of people say that your skills helped you do this. How in the future do you think, like you say, photography has taught me to have a sense of adventure. How do you think having a sense of adventure to Cora, how do you think that can help you maybe with that next step? Or what is having that sense of adventure that you were taught by this skill, maybe getting older, how can that help you, do you think? Yeah, I think that's one way to look at it. Going to college will be an adventure. I think that some of these skills that helped us as we were be more confident and assertive during jobs. Yeah, I think some of these skills that you're saying that they made you like this, they kind of help form that part of you. They kind of help find that sense of identity. But now that we're moving a little bit forward, maybe you're going into high school, going into middle school, going into college, going into a career, these are some things that now we're kind of trying to separate. We're not looking at that skill to say that's what defines us. We're kind of looking at that skill to say, okay, now that I know that I'm more adventurous, I can go out and do more activities like this, or it helped me be more confident and assertive during some of these jobs. Right, exactly. I think that some of these skills, I want you to start looking at ways to kind of distinguish them. Being adventurous. Yeah, more adventures. Being adventurous has made you comfortable with different adventures. Exactly. I think that, and that's, adventurous is a great way to look at it, because I think life, all these unplanned things, they kind of are in terms of adventure. Yeah, I think that these are really some great responses. Having a single parent taught me how to stand up for myself and to protect my friends and family. Yeah, I think that I just want you to start focusing or rewiring your brain so that next step when you do leave something behind, you can look at some of these leadership traits or these personality traits that you have that can kind of make you better. Does anybody kind of know where I'm coming from here? I know that we're kind of doing the chat box, but I'm trying to, does anybody understand where I'm saying, like, a lot of the people letting go of stuff? Do you think there's a way that you can find a way to hone in on some of these personality? Okay, great. Okay. Okay. I just want to help everybody out, because these are some of the things that I struggled with. So in any way you start stepping away from some of those activities and saying to yourself, okay, cool. Now I'm ready to take on the next adventure. You're not so worried about, oh gosh, I'm not playing football. Oh gosh, I'm not playing basketball, or you're not riding horses as much. You're saying, you know what? I'm proud of myself because that's what made me like this. And now you can start taking on some of those other struggles. So moving forward, I do have another activity, but our next step is about, in terms of identity, is talking about personal and core values. Another thing you want to be aware, especially for some of y'all senior, I'm talking to everybody here, middle school, high school, senior, whatever it might be. I want you to start thinking about your core values or your personal values, because the things we believe in are essentially, okay, I see this one right here, kind of, right. Okay, I'm gonna kind of move on, and then at the end of this, when we start talking about identity, when I conclude that, I will start answering some questions, but let me kind of move forward. So the things that we believe in, some of our personal values, those are the things that are important to us. And you know, these things that we believe in, this includes family, faith, our family, our faith. It really could be anything. The list is endless. The way we regard the environment, our health. Some of these personal values essentially are what another form of our identity, that's a driving force in our life. Just like we identified some of those traits that we can say, okay, that's what makes us this way. Our personal values are something that we can look at. We can list on a piece of paper and say, these are important to us. And and moving into each situation, guess what's going to happen? People are going to start to challenge those values. The more that you can kind of say, you know, this is what I believe in, you can be true to yourself. And the more true you are to yourself, the more, like we were talking about, adjusting to change, the more we can kind of understand how we can encounter change. So I do have I have a little activity here, kind of like we did before. We're gonna talk a little bit about identifying personal and core values. Let me see here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show a screen with some values on it. And the first thing I want you to do is identify it. That's the most important thing. First is identifying the value, what you feel appeals to you the most, or what do you feel you really truly believe in? And then why is it important to you? Be able to defend it. That way, when we go into these situations where somebody is kind of challenging that value, you can say, this is why I believe in it. And it also helps us, with some of these values, it helps us with personal accountability. But other than a personal accountability, it helps take responsibility for some of our actions and not be influenced by others. And then I also want you to ask yourself, like, when will it be challenged? Have a little situational awareness. Why will it be important? So I have a slide here with a bunch of personal and core values. And I just want I'm going to pop this up for a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and kind of go back to the chat box so I can see what y'all are saying. But I'm going to give you maybe just like a few seconds or even like 30 seconds to look at all this. And I want you to keep some of these in your head or write them down on a piece of paper. And I'm going to kind of pick some folks out, and I want you to answer those questions for me. So I'm just going to give you a little bit. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, so yeah, that's a great way so hard to choose. Yeah, it's really hard to choose. There's a lot to choose from, and this is faith, leadership, hard work, faith, creativity, strength, faith, generosity, hardworking. Okay, I feel like a lot of people have kind of like seen the screen. I'm gonna stop sharing this real quick. And Jana said that I will be able to, or you will be able to be unmuted if I call on one of you. So you can go ahead and unmute your mic. Let me take a look here. Who would feel comfortable me calling on them? Yeah, not, okay. Okay, Audrey then. Audrey. Okay, great. We have a few folks. Audrey Schmidt. We're calling you out here. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay, so what are some of the values that you wrote down?
My voice is a little scratchy, but I chose hard work. Do I go ahead and explain why, I guess?
Yeah, you've identified the value. What do you think it to you? Why what can you say to defend it?
I'm only in 7th grade, and some of these other people are a lot older than me.
Okay.
But I've worked really hard. Like, I do photography mainly. It's like my hobby and stuff, but it's actually gotten very professional in the last year or so. But I've worked very hard to get where I am and to get the opportunities that have been given to me, and to meet some of the people that I wouldn't have met through this. Through those opportunities.
Yeah, and I think that's one to definitely think about. And when you think about the future, how do you think that this personal value will kind of like help you as you move on in the future, the more conscious you are of it?
Thinking about it like as a career-wise, I don't know how much helpful it will be in the future because I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing. But as like a characteristic, I know that photography has really helped me become a social person, and it's helped me to be like not so nervous when I'm talking or meeting with people and asking people, about things.
Yeah, in terms of hard work, now that you've worked hard towards that photography, how will that hard work kind of help you in the future with your academics or with even more hobbies? If it's your personal value, how can it help spread in like all facets of your life and every part of your life?
Because I've learned that even like the blood, sweat, and tears is what they say. It was a lot of hard work, like having to stay up all night, finishing things, pulling and editing and all that. It taught me that if you really do work hard and set your focus on something, you can get to where you want to be.
Okay, I absolutely love that response. That's exactly what I want to hear. This is exactly the objective I want to do in identifying your value. I really appreciate you sharing. That's something I want you to think about. I want you to think about what you just said and kind of like focus on that for the future. Now that you have that in mind of what this hard work means to me, why that personal value means something to me. That's something I honestly, I appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much.
You're
Let's
welcome.
see if we can get some. Let me see if we can get somebody else on here. Cora Ford, step
Yeah,
up to the plate. Okay, so what are some of the values that you've written down?
I've written down faith, happiness, structure, and creativity.
Okay, let's focus on structure. That's kind of like I really like that one. I'm kind of the same way. Why is it important to you? Or how do you defend it? Why is it important to you?
Well, it's important for your health and managing your time with other people. It helps other people get to hang out with you and stuff. So it's good to know what you're doing when, so you can figure out what you're bringing in and what needs to come off and free you up.
Do you feel like having that structure helps you prioritize things too?
Of course.
Right, exactly. I think that, and that's the same thing we were talking about. I appreciate it. How do you think, and what grade are you in?
I'm going into 10th grade right now.
Great.
Or no, sorry, 11th right now.
11th grade. All right. How do you think that having that structure, like that being one of your core values, how do you think that's going to help you not only for the senior year, well, in this next year, since you're going to be applying to schools and everything, or maybe looking at a career, how do you think having that structure is going to help you out?
Well, of course, I can keep track of all the applications I send out. I can figure out what schools I want to prioritize, which scholarships I want to prioritize, and what activities in my life need to be subdued to help prioritize.
Yeah, I really appreciate you answering. I think that structure is one of those things that a lot of people don't have until later in life. I think that for right now, they kind of think themselves, they're kind of living without a plan. But I think you having that structure right now, moving to the next year, applying for colleges, keeping things straight, and then, going off to college, I think having that, being that one of your core values, I think it's going to help you really start to look at how you're going to end up succeeding in the long run. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I have like one more person I'm going to call on, and then I have to move forward. So Elizabeth Payton.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I wrote down trustworthiness, faith, intelligence, and leadership.
Okay, trustworthiness. Why is it important to you?
Trustworthiness is important to me because it can be used in all aspects of life on any communication level. If people don't trust you, they're not going to talk to you, and you won't be good as a coworker or a friend or a teammate or anything to them because they can't rely on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, you kind of answered all of it all at once there. Yeah, and what grade are you going to?
I'm going to be a junior.
A junior? Okay, great. Yeah, and so a lot of these times, these next year, when you think of that trustworthiness, I mean, you kind of answered the question, but I really appreciate kind of responding, kind of hearing from you. I think that a lot of the stuff that we've heard from today is kind of in the same, kind of coming from the same spots. We're taking those values and we're moving to that next step. And it teaches us to be true to ourselves.
Yes.
With each step we go on, we kind of, we move and we get with these different people, and they say, they start to challenge who we are a little bit. And so how do you think that someone's going to challenge that in the future, that trustworthiness? Maybe some people in a different situation.
I think trustworthiness can be challenged anytime somebody doesn't want to trust you. So they may not want your help with something or to talk to you about certain subjects just because they don't believe they can trust you. And that can also put you on the defensive, which can escalate the situation and make it worse. So along with knowing that you're trustworthy, you also have to look at other people's point of views so that you can not just be someone they can trust, but be somebody that they can trust to not push them.
Right. I mean, that's perfect. I don't even know how to elaborate. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I appreciate you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, with all the things that we heard, all the things that we've heard so far, I'm gonna kind of, now that we're kind of slowing down a little bit, I think I did have a unit that talked about a little bit of an individual and a group setting, but I think that one of the things that we kind of covered were we're talking about trustworthiness, and someone saying that it kind of requires them to rely on a lot of trust in a group situation. I'll just cover. So I want to talk about being an individual in a group situation, in a group setting. What makes you unique? Some of the things we talked about are these personal traits and these personal values. I want you to really keep that in mind as you kind of move forward. What are some? I'm gonna choose one person to unmute their mic on this one. So I want one person to tell me a group story and one person to tell me a group not so successful story. Just tell me if you want to volunteer in the chat box. If somebody wants to, what I mean is, have you ever been in a group setting, like a group project or a team situation where you had like a great success and why it worked, and then why you were in a group project and you're working in class? I want to hear one success story and one not so successful story. I just want to know that someone feels comfortable calling on them. Okay. Linnea, is that how you say it? Once we kind of, okay, and Haley, I'm gonna hear from both y'all, but first I want to hear from Linnea. Am I saying that right, or Linnea?
Yeah,
How
no,
do
you
say
said
that?
it right. It's Linnea.
Linnea, okay, great. Well, do you have a success story or not so successful story?
It's kind of in between, but in the end, it was a success due to me and another person pulling through. There's 4 people in our group, and 2 of them barely did anything and almost ruined the entire group project by not doing what they were supposed to, and also by not bringing the supplies needed. But luckily, due to the communication between me and the other person who was in our group, me and her were able to pull everything together the second night before it was due, and then present it to the class.
Right. And what do you think in that situation? What grade are you going into?
I'm going into 11th.
11th grade. Okay. So how do you think that group? What do you think you brought to the table in that group situation to help it succeed? Bringing the supplies and kind of stepping up, right?
Yes, communication, hard work, as well as the ability to work with other people and actually get stuff done.
Okay. And would you find that one of your strengths in every group situation that you go into?
Determination, being able to persevere through the situation, hopefully
Yeah,
with
and
other people, and be able to bring us together.
Yeah, do you think about that every time you go into a group situation?
Yes.
Okay, great. I always want you to be thinking about that. No matter where y'all are at in your life, if you find you can contribute to a group situation with like a lot of positivity and a lot of success, be conscious of that. Be proud of yourself. And don't forget that, especially for some of y'all that are moving to that next step. It's going to be important. You're going to be met with a lot of different new activities, new projects, new group situations. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing. Can I get, let me see, Haley, did I ask, whoever has a fail, who has the one that's not so successful story? I need one of those. Okay. Freddie, you kind of just this one. How about I hear from you? Yeah, you. Yeah, you have one that didn't work.
Okay, so robotics team that I signed up for without my mom knowing to begin with, so it probably was a bad idea.
Okay.
what mainly happened is that no one was really pulling their own weight.
Mhm.
I was trying to make it work. Everyone was they were doing what they're supposed to do, but they weren't accomplishing more than that. So it didn't quite work out.
Right. What is something, did you have any positives that you brought to the situation, that you as an individual brought to that situation, that says like, hey, I'm going to put all my effort into being like this? Do you see something what did you do to try to make it work?
I worked extra hard. I worked on communicating. I did the best to have everyone included as possible.
Okay. And do you think that's something you do in a lot of group situations, whether they fail or they're success? Do you feel like you do this every single time?
I believe so.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's what I want to think about too. I want everybody to have a little bit of a consistency. When we have some of these traits that we bring into a group situation, if you know that you're the one that's good at communicating, be that person that steps up and communicate. If you're one of those people that maybe doesn't want to communicate as well, but's willing to kind of step up on doing more of the overtime as far as the project goes, these are some of the things that I kind of want you to start thinking of. And I know that I've kind of taken a lot of time getting through some of this first unit, so I'm going to have to move it forward with some of our stuff. But I just want to say thank you for everybody that's sharing so far. What I want to talk about with identity is mostly in terms of all these things we talked about with personal traits, being in a group situation, personal values. These are things that I want you to think about more than just, I don't want you to give it more than just a passing glance. I want you to say, these things are important about me, because, as we deal with change, guess what happens? When we're met with some of these challenges, we're able to find unique solutions to those challenges. So I hope a little bit about identity kind of helps some people out. That what I want to move on to is recognizing and utilizing the proper resources. Now, I don't know if I'm getting smarter, maybe, or if I'm just getting older, but one thing I really didn't do, middle school, high school, college, is utilize proper resources. And some of these support that we need, we really try to reach out. Now I'm gonna read you the dictionary definition of resource. The dictionary defines a resource as a source of supply or support, a source of information or expertise. So we should always be using all these resources to support us as we work towards our goals. Some of these challenges that we go through, we need help. We cannot do it alone. I know I'm the most stubborn person. You never want to use anybody's help. Okay, guess what happened? That first year after high school, I crashed and burned. I needed help, and I never was smart enough to say I need help. So with that being said, I was gonna cover a little bit of institutional resources first, and I'm gonna go blow through that real quick. How many of y'all gotten tutoring from your own schools already? Maybe you've gotten it from your school, or maybe you go to a learning center. What's something? Okay. You've been a tutor? Cool, great. Learning center. Did you feel like it helped you a little bit? Yes, I know. Thank you for saying yes, because that's what we, yeah, greatly, exactly. Okay, these are the things, it can be one-on-one, yeah, right. Okay, so I want you to always think about this. I want everybody to think about how to get that support, For some of y'all going to, let me share my screen. I think I have something here. I'm trying to take a look at all this at once. I'm getting, ooh. Hold up. Okay, so the first three things I want you to ask yourself when it comes to utilizing resources, it's, hey, I need some help. The important thing to do is acknowledge when you need help, okay? Next thing to say to yourself is, where do I go to get it? What are some of the appropriate resources? And then third, was it successful? I love to hear people's success stories that say, yes, it was very successful. Oh, geez, what did I do? Okay. Because for me, that's one thing that is really important. If it helped, do it again. If it didn't help, you might want to kind of rethink where you're coming from. And also, we live in such a digital world. Yeah, let me stop sharing for a second. We live in such a digital world. We're so connected. I mean, it's crazy. This thing right here, you're like, what's the temperature in Zimbabwe? I don't know why I needed to know it, but guess what? I can know it now. our world is flooded with flooded with a different amount of resources. And, you know, the schools you attend, if you're going into career, some of the companies that you work for, they're doing their best to provide some of these resources for you. And it's important to acknowledge that, because a lot of the companies, a lot of the schools, high school, college, they're seeing the effort that you put in. You're spending the money, you're spending the time. They want to reward that effort with some help. So don't be afraid to take some of that help. So moving forward, I kind of want to talk about social resources. And this is something I want to hit on pretty good, because networking with people, build your social capital for support. Simplify just meeting people all the time, nonstop. Now, like I said, I'm part of the generation, maybe one part ahead of y'all, and I'm not always so great at digital networking, but that's something that y'all are great at. And guess what? You can use that skill next year. Where you're going into high school, you're going into college, you're able to kind of utilize that digital networking skill and say, hey, I met you. What's your name? Are you on Instagram? Are you on, I don't know, I'm not as familiar. Are you on this? And you add them. That's one more person to kind of help you out. And let me ask you a question about, since I do want to hit on the social resource thing, does anybody have somebody they can go to right now where they feel like you can, they offer you the support, they offer you all the right questions, answer the right questions? Okay, I'm going to call on somebody. Who wants to volunteer? Anybody that I haven't called on yet? Okay. For the first person, Reagan, I want you to tell me about the person. If you feel comfortable, tell me about how you felt, who you shared with, and why you felt that way, or who you chose to say.
Can you hear me?
It's a little scratchy, but try again.
Can you hear me now?
It's still a little scratchy, but I think I can maybe try it. Hello? Ah.
Okay.
Oh, great. Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, so for me, me and my brother are very close, and I feel like I can go to him for anything because he is my older brother and he's experienced a lot more in life than I have. So I feel like he has a lot more wisdom and is more mature with different situations.
Okay, that's real sweet, because I'm real close to my sister and she's younger than me, so I feel the same way, and I feel that. How do you feel? Does it kind of relieve a little bit of anxiety sometimes, like when you talk to him? Like you have a problem with something, you feel like, oh yes, you have a weight lifted off your shoulders?
I do, especially because a lot of things now, it's hard to go talk to your friends because you feel like you can be judged, or even your parents, they don't understand the same situation.
I know exactly where you're coming from. That's really awesome. And the thing, I really appreciate you sharing. I know it's kind of personal, but I'm talking to you, I'm talking to everybody here. I know that everybody feels the same way. You have that weight lifted off your shoulders, right? Like, just like you said, you have that weight lifted off. You have that one person you go to, you can trust, you can say anything. I really put an emphasis on finding and seeking out these social resources. Thank you for sharing. So when I'm talking about that, she was talking about it, talking to her brother. Wouldn't it be great if we had this emotional support, like 24/7, nonstop? We can go to somebody and just say, hey, I need some help with something. Now, that's the sort of thing I kind of want everybody to start thinking about, because I really put an emphasis on some of the social resources because it's so easy. Some of y'all are going to be, no matter where you're at in life, you're going to meet new friends each year. Why not have some more friends to offer some of that emotional support? You're having trouble with your grades, you can go say, hey, this is where I'm having trouble. You're having problems with other things. Hey, having that someone take off that emotional support allows some of these things not to build in our head. I really want to share this screen I'm going to share this screen with you real quick. And it talks about the 3 things. I kind of want to talk to those attending college. So where this might help for some of you graduating seniors, please join a club or a student organization. Rise above that social anxiety, okay? I know it's kind of weird and you think, oh, I don't know, I don't really fit. This is what's going to help you develop some of those friendships that freshman year that you're going to have almost forever. I almost have some friends that I text or Snapchat like on a daily basis that I was in a club with at A&M. Please, get a job on campus. You know, there's a lot of flexibility into getting a job on campus. You can call into work sometimes when you have a big test and you're like, hey, I can't come in today. Sorry. Well, if you call them a day ahead, they might say, hey, it's okay, relax. We understand. A lot of these people want to help the students out. And also it's a great resource for meeting new people. Okay, this is the third one I want to hit on pretty good. Meet your professors, meet your professors, meet your professors. I know it's really intimidating at times because you're taught, we look at our mentors and we say, I don't know, I don't feel as comfortable with them. Please, second day of school, third day of school, whatever week it is, go shake their hands, go say hey to them, go say, hey, my name is so-and-so, I'm in this class. They see your face. Go visit them during office hours. Guess what? When you get 2 months in there and you need some help, they go, oh, I recognize this person, and they can help you. That's one thing I think is really important. To those going into a career, join an organization related to your career. If you're going to go into welding, make sure that you join like United Welders Workers of America. I'm not really sure, but that way you can network with some of the people around you. Get to know your coworkers. And this one's kind of a hard one because, you know, the first day of work, you show up, you want to join hands and be like, oh, we're the 3 best friends the world's ever seen. Doesn't happen. A lot of people, and I hate this rule, but a lot of people, they want you to earn their respect before you earn their friendship. That's something that we kind of talked about a little earlier. So it's going to be important that you understand to give people some space, show them how you operate before you can kind of earn their friendship. And then get to know your bosses and your supervisors. They're the ones that have been in that position before. They're really going to help you out. To those from that aren't graduating seniors, still, if you're in high school, middle school, join a club, join a student organization. These are some of the things that you can look toward to really support you. Meet your teachers. Okay, honestly, if someone was telling me to meet my teachers and I was in middle school and high school, I probably wouldn't agree with you. But now, knowing what I know, meet your teachers. Please get to know them. And then explore some extra opportunities. Explore some civic opportunities in the city, maybe in your town that you live in. These things are gonna put you in touch with everybody out there. Okay, and the last 3 things I have to say as far as the resources is be open-minded. Okay, you're gonna meet so many new different people each year. Camps, clubs, 4-H, whatever it might be. Be open-minded. Be able to understand these people around you. Be a good listener. Okay, if I could write a book tomorrow, it'd be things my mama told me that I did not listen to, that if I would have listened to, it would have made life a lot easier. It's a long title, but I never listened to the advice my mom gave me. I never listened to the advice anybody gave me, but they generally care about you. They generally want to help you out. So be a good listener and listen to empower those around you. These are some crazy, strange times we've been going through, y'all. These are the things. Text your friends. Text these people that are in your network. Let them know you care about them. They're there to support you. Make sure you're there to care about them. Tell them, hey, you know, good luck on that test. Or, hey, I think you're like a really great person. It can be something really simple, but that's the kind of thing that's going to be really important to think about. Okay, moving forward, I'm taking up a lot of time. This is the last unit of the whole thing, and this is really important, y'all. And let me try to figure out this whole technology thing real quick. Oh boy. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is making your mental health a priority. Okay, so I know that you already kind of gone through something like this before. All of y'all, and everybody should be excited about next year, next semester, each grade you go through. You know why? Because you get to start with a clean slate. I always love the feeling of starting with a new year because you start with a clean slate. And but with starting with a clean slate, it means we need to know how to plan for that. I think a lot of times we fill our head with so much clutter, with some of these anxieties, because we get so excited about things. For some of y'all college kids that are going, or some of y'all going off to college, and you're telling me you're worried, you're excited, you're very excited. And sometimes that kind of manifests itself as anxiety or nervousness. But you know what? I don't want you to, don't keep too much stuff up here. You become a mental hoarder, for lack of better terms. And you know what happens when you collect all these thoughts up here? We can't focus. We can't think about our academics. We can't start to think about some of these these things that are required of us. We no longer can focus. We become so distracted. And you know what? We also tend to get unhappy, and positivity and happiness need to be those driving forces that really drive us towards our goals. So, but don't fret. I have a few strategies that right? Yeah. I think that once we start I have a few strategies to kind of get things out of your head. I want you to never put too much in here, okay? It's only so big. We can only fit so much. The more we can put down on paper, the more we can plan out for some of these things, the better we are. So the first thing I kind of want to talk about is time management. Okay, and I'm going to pop up the screen here again. And whoopsie daisies. Okay. Okay. Okay, so here are 5 plans I have, not for success, but I think to prepare you to set you up for success. So the best way to really set ourselves up for success is to prepare. If I have anything I can leave you with today, it's please, I'm pleading with you, please, please, please get a planner and fill it out. You know, all you got to do to get a planner, all you got to do to get something out of your head, pick up your pen, you go click, write it down, click it off, boom. That took a second to do. If you don't start getting some of these tasks out of your head, you're going to start collecting more. Oh, I need to do this assignment. Oh, I need to do this assignment. Oh, I have a test next week. Oh, I said I was going to hang out with my friends. Guess what? Your brain can't handle all that. So what I really want everybody to think about is get a planner and start filling it out. Have a routine. Wake up early. Do the same things every day. Have a routine. And start doing it now. Don't wait till the school starts and you're like, yeah, I'll wake up early when school starts. Oh, I'll wake up. Start doing it right now. Have a routine for some of the things that you kind of work through. Keep things clean. Clean headspace, or clean workspace, clean headspace. I always say that. Clean workspace, clean headspace. The better you are organized, the more organized you are, the better off you are. That's just kind of one of the things with it. What? All right, be able to predict the future. I'm obviously not talking about seeing into the future, but plan for some things that might happen that you're not really ready for. Maybe you didn't think there was a test there. Maybe you didn't think that, maybe you just forgot about something. Be able to kind of plan for the future. That's really important. So, and then the last is don't procrastinate. Now I'm going to take a break because I really want to talk to y'all about this for a second, especially that last one, not procrastinating. Let me see here. Okay, so why do you think I say that we shouldn't procrastinate? Who would be comfortable talking when I ask you, why should we not procrastinate? Okay. Okay, so let's talk with Haley. Let's see what you have to say.
I really think that procrastinating, if you do it often, you still have those things in the back of your mind and they're still building up, but it's easier to forget about what you're supposed to be doing that day or at that time.
Right. You know what I think? It has to do procrastination, the big problem with it. People always say, oh, it's no big deal. Like, whatever. People say that it's because you're lazy, but procrastination in the long run to me is always about, you know what we're really doing? We're fulfilling the urge to not hit a problem head on. Do you agree with that? We're kind of ignoring our problems, really.
Yes. And also, it stresses you out once you've procrastinated all this stuff for the longest amount of time, and then you have a shorter amount of time to get it all done, and it stresses you out. It affects your mental health a lot.
Yes.
Not good for you.
Perfect answer. That's what I was going to say. All these things, writing down in the planner, all these things, those little strategies that popped up, and I can share with these if you need to be. But I will say this: procrastination. The more that we let things go, the more we say, guess what? We make a bad habit of not hitting problems head on. We make a bad habit of not being able to say, it could be a little thing too. I need to take care of this. Well, I've got to wait with the rest of them. Well, guess what? Now you have a world of problems. So I really appreciate that answer. That's absolutely great. Does anybody else kind of feel that way, or like they've had problems with procrastination, something like that? All the time. Okay, Audrey, would you mind talking with me for a second then?
Sure.
Okay, so what are some of the things that you procrastinate that you feel like you have problems with?
Most of the time it's like deadlines with major things because like Haley was saying, or like you were saying, you don't want to get into those problems. And sometimes you're scared to like have to look at it and think about it. But I mostly procrastinate with like school, and it doesn't help because I might get it done the night before at like 2 o'clock in the morning, but it didn't help my mental health and the fact that I'm like falling asleep in class and I can't focus, and it
Right.
really does not help.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. That's kind of one thing I think that I think we all have. Guess what? We're all guilty of procrastination. I don't think you can find the most hardworking person on this planet. You're not gonna have someone coming up to you saying like, oh, I don't procrastinate. We all do. And a lot of the time we do it with like small things, but now that some of y'all are getting older and you're kind of maturing and you're gaining that level of independence, the more you're going to understand that hitting a problem head on, you immediately find a solution to the problem. Do you think that it makes it easier when you kind of hit a problem head on?
Yes, very much.
Okay. I appreciate that. I want to call on one person that kind of, I want to see if who said that's my reaction to most tasks. Would you mind sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think it's a problem? Do you not like procrastinating, or do you like it, or what happens, man?
Well, my first reaction to most things is to put it off thinking that I can finish whatever I'm going to do and I'll get on to that next. And that's something I've been struggling with for a while. And I have another issue where I have a really hard time remembering it afterward because I'm like, I check it off in my mind and I'm like, okay, there we go. We're done.
Yes.
And that kind of comes in with what you said about having all that stuff stacked up in your head.
Please get a planner, my friend. Please. It will be your best friend. You will have, if you get a planner and you don't even over plan, just write like something like, I want to get a candy bar. Seems like a little small thing. Write everything down. The more you write it down, guess what? We're visualizing the problem at this point. We're saying like, yep, it's right there. I'm going to take care of it. So in the future, please get a planner. It's going to help so much. I know it will.
Yeah.
I think sharing. You've been procrastinating creating a planner. I know. Don't trust me. When I was in y'all's position, I was so guilty of this, and I never learned it. This is why I say today, if you do anything has a planner system, okay. Okay, so that's kind of one thing I want to think about is getting the planner. Okay, I kind of got excited about that one. I kind of lost my track. The one thing I kind of want to talk about is dealing with adversity. So dealing with adversity. You know, adversity is a word we hear a little bit too much for my liking. You know, if you watch ESPN or if you watch TV, all these players saying, I dealt with adversity. And I'm like, quit using that word so much because it's kind of losing its power, but it's the perfect word to use as we struggle, as we encounter, and we struggle as we strive to achieve, you know? And you know what? Like I said earlier, there's no foolproof plan to failure. Failure is inevitable on the road to success. And it's a cliche, but it's so true. Don't raise your hand, put in the chat box. Who enjoys losing? Who enjoys losing? Not me, right? Not me. If anybody says it, I want to talk to you, okay? No one. Yeah, no one likes it. Stings. It hurts. It causes emotional distress, you know? When I was in y'all's grade, or when I was your age, I was the sorest loser that you'd meet. It depends on the thing, right? But when I was your age, I was the sorest loser. I hated losing. But you know why? Because I never understood what losing taught me. When I would win, I would say, great, I won, and I walk away. When I would lose, I would say, ugh. But you know what? I wouldn't look to improve. I would try to improve, but I wouldn't put my whole heart into it. I wouldn't do anything to improve. And you know what happens? I'm going to pop up the screen in a second, is we burn ourselves out. Losing keep on losing and we're not getting better, we end up honestly getting burnt out. We lose motivation to do that activity. So I'm gonna actually pop up the screen with me real quick. I may go back to that, but right now I'm gonna skip it. So learning how to stumble. Every time that you struggle, everything that you fail, every time that you lose, I want you to do these 3 things. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What exactly went wrong? And I want you to pinpoint what exactly went wrong. For some of y'all, for some of me, it was academics. I really didn't have too much of a problem with sports. It was always academics for me. That was always the problem. What went wrong with my academics? Well, I wasn't getting tutoring. Well, I'll study a little bit more on the next math test. Yeah, I'd study a little bit more and it wouldn't work. Study on the next math test. To the point where I was losing so much that I really wasn't improving at all. In fact, I ended up hating math. And at this point, don't bring up calculus to me. It will cause me to have nightmares, okay? But what I wasn't asking myself is, what can I do to improve? And this kind of goes back to the resources. Who are some people I can reach out to? Maybe I can go do some tutoring with my school. Maybe I can go to a learning center. You know, it took me a long time to learn that tutoring actually does help. And my grades like skyrocketed through the roof great when I understood that. And the third thing is never stop trying. A lot of these tips I'm trying to kind of point you in the right direction with, they're going to be tailor-made for what you believe. Some of these. Never stop trying. You're going to have to stumble a million times before you even maybe succeed. But if you're improving each time, I swear it's just well worth it. So ask yourself these 3 questions when you do kind of stumble. Okay, let me go to the next one. It's really brief. I did end up missing a slide, but I want to talk about goal setting. I want to introduce SMART goals to you. And some of y'all may have heard of them, but a SMART goal is a goal that is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. Every time you have a goal, maybe it's to get a better grade. I know I always say that because my grade suffered for a while and I didn't always like the feeling. So that became kind of the reference of my SMART goals. So make sure it's specific. Don't say like, oh, I'm going to graduate from college. That's pretty broad. Make it measurable. Make sure you have it like, okay, what does it mean to be compared to this? Or what does it mean to be compared to this? Like, how do I measure it against everything in my life? Attainable. Make sure you can actually, make sure you can actually achieve it. You know what I mean? Make sure it's an actual goal. And I think realistic is kind of along the same lines. Make it realistic. Okay, I'm 5'6" on like a good day. All right. I've accepted the fact that I may never go into the NBA. I may never even be a great basketball player. I'm just not that tall, okay? I've accepted that. I would never make a plan or a goal that wasn't that realistic and time-based. Make sure to set like weekly goals, set monthly goals. Say at the end of this month, this is where I want to be. It's really important to kind of use this SMART goal as a reference point. Okay, so I do want to go back to goals of getting published. Cool. Great. Yeah. Sorry, I haven't been able to take a look at this chat box in a second. Yeah. So there's one slide I kind of want to go back to, and it goes back to the planner thing. The one thing let me go back, share it one more time. Okay, there we go. So this goes in the same thing of time management. I'm sorry to kind of skip back a little bit. I forgot I had this one. Okay, so right here we have something called the Eisenhower or the priority matrix. And I want you to, if you still have a pen and paper in your hand, that's great. If not, just kind of take a look at it. And if you see here, you have 4 separate boxes. Oops, oops. Jeez Louise, what'd I do? What'd I touch? Yeah, I figured that. Let me go back one more time. Okay, there we go. Now you should be able to see it. Can y'all see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me pop this up. So for y'all that saying you had a problem, like maybe working with your planner or something like that, this is something I want you to do on a weekly basis. I want you to make this little matrix. I want you to draw basically a cross in the middle of a piece of a paper and say urgent, not urgent, important, not important. And in quadrant 1, we have urgent and important. These are some of your maybe you have a test or let's just say an essay. Maybe you have an essay due tomorrow. Maybe you've been working on it, but maybe now is the due date tomorrow. That's something you want to put. If you're working on a weekly basis, you have a test on Thursday and you're writing this down on Sunday. It's urgent and important to study. Quadrant 2 is not urgent, but important. Doesn't need to be taken care of right now, but it will be. And that's maybe your project. You have a project coming up in like a month or two. It's not urgent, it's important, it's kind of to take care of. Quadrant 3, urgent, not important. This would probably be like a text message. Yeah, they texted you, it's important, but it doesn't need to it's not really that important. I mean, not in a bad way. I mean, you want to text your friends back, but you want to make sure that you can understand the importance of it. And quadrant 4 is not urgent and not important. These are some of the things that, what you call a time waster, a thing that you pretty much shouldn't spend a lot of time on, and you accidentally, in your mind, now that you got all this stuff floating up here, you kind of lose track. And these are some of the things that you want to eliminate the most. Okay, I'm sorry I kind of missed that one, but that kind of goes back to the planner thing. Okay, so really, that's pretty much all I have. I feel like I rushed through it a lot, but I do have something to kind of say, and I'm going to open it up for questions and answers in a second. But I do have one more thing I want to say to you. I want to pop up my last little screen, or my last little slide to y'all. Oh boy. Okay, my last little screen is this. Okay, so like I said, I'm in Culberson County. That's the Guadalupe Mountain National Park, and that's in the north part of our county. That is the tallest place you can go in all of Texas. That's the highest point. And I just want to conclude by just to say everybody's different. Your journey as you grow and you mature and the things you want to accomplish, it's all just like a really creative process. It takes patience. You got to trust the process, y'all. We talked about some of the personal identity. Understand yourself, the resources, know how to get help, and then the mental health. Y'all, from hearing from some of y'all really great about judging where you're at and how to find out where you're at with your mental health and how to maybe alleviate some of those pressures. Be positive. Don't allow the frustration to build. Those are the things that, those tests that are hardest, those struggles we go through, they're the most difficult you can go through. But you know, those are the things we learn from the most. And I'm a sucker for a good hiking analogy. I feel like in life, we're constantly climbing these mountains. We're setting these goals, and those are the peaks. And we're beating these fear of heights. We go up a little bit further and we look down and we say, oh gosh, I'm kind of scared. We go up a little bit further and then we go, oh gosh. And then we reach the peak and we look at where we came from. It's really important that when you reach that peak, when you reach your goal, to look behind you and acknowledge and pat yourself on the back and just give yourself some credit from how far you've come. I know some of y'all that say you're nervous about going off to school. After that first couple weeks, make sure to turn around and say how much you've gone through those last couple weeks. For some of those still in high school, when you're planning to go to apply for all these colleges, make sure you're patting yourself on the back every once in a while, okay? And then the last thing I can leave you with is before the questions, is say, don't live with regret, do what's right, and be true to yourself. I cannot reiterate how important it is to do these things. Just don't live with regret, do all you can do. Do what's right. Do what you know is right and be true to yourself, because there's only one you, and it's really important. So with that being said, I know I kind of rushed. Even though it seems like it took time, I feel like I kind of rushed through things. I would please love to hear some questions and answers from some of y'all. Just tell me who wants to share some things, and please don't be afraid to maybe pop up in the chat box first, and we'll unmute your mic and we can talk to you a little bit. Yeah, does anybody have any questions they want to ask now? I hope that I was helping you. I see some thank yous. I appreciate that. I know I kind of went through it. Like I said, I'm just trying to help you out a little bit.
Zach, we really appreciate all your words of wisdoms today. Make sure before you jump off that you've checked in, so we have an accurate record of who participated in today's session. For those of you that think that the 4 o'clock session will be with this link, it actually is not. We knew Zach was going to go over time. So if you're looking for the session on college and career readiness, I will post the link in the chat so that you can jump onto that session.
The only thing I didn't, my bad. The only thing I didn't share is I meant to share my email with people. Is there a way we can send that out later or something like that? That way, if anybody wants to kind of connect with me, they can.
Yes, we will do that. You should have a list of all the roster of people that did sign up, and then I'll share with you those that do the form site so that you'll have those that actually participated today as well.
Okay, so Linnea, did you want to ask me something since we're kind of, if you're going to stay on here for a second, you're not going, do you want to unmute your mic and ask me a question? Or did anybody here that still has a question? Or not?
As a quick reminder, if you're trying to join the college and career readiness, look in the chat. You will see the link for that session. It's a different Zoom link. Anyone have any actual questions for Mr. Zach before he logs off?
I kind of hope that went over all right because I was kind of rushing a little bit fast. I thought that there's a lot more questions than I thought.
Thanks again, Zach. I think everyone, you must have answered all their questions.
All right.
Have a good afternoon or rest of your day, I guess, at this point.
Yes, ma'am. You too. I'll see you.
Yes, sir.